Hey guys, welcome back to the Profit Podcast. Week 1 is over. I hope you enjoyed the football being back as much as I did. That Monday night game was crazy. It would have been awful if the Saints had lost on another questionable penalty. Anyway, on Instagram, I was asked a few questions about players this week and what I think about them the rest of the season. So let's just dive into it. The players we're going to be going over: Derrick Henry, Kirk Cousins, Chris Thompson from the Redskins, and my favorite, Devin Singletary. So let's just start off with Derrick Henry. For Derrick Henry, I think the formula is pretty simple. If you give Derrick Henry volume, he'll produce. It's been proven time and time again. This week, it was definitely encouraging if you drafted Derrick Henry in the second or third round. I think he's going to be more of this the rest of the season than the other side of Derrick Henry we've seen. I think he will still have some weeks where you're frustrated with the lack of volume, but I think this was, the ceiling pretty much. But I think his floor is going to be a bit safer this year. I think he'll get more volume. I think he's a great option rest of the season. Let's dive into the next one. Chris Thompson. Chris Thompson is very interesting. On Twitter before the game, I posted that Chris Thompson is going to be a PPR machine and you should add him before the waiver wire. Anyways, Darius Geis, he came back and he looked pretty bad, and then he got injured. Darius Geis is a player I feel bad for, but Chris Thompson has a great opportunity here. Chris Thompson, he led the team in targets with 10 and hauled in 7 receptions for 68 yards. He only had 3 rush attempts, but honestly, on the Redskins, I don't think rushing attempts are going to be very valuable this year. Adrian Peterson's going to be coming back. He's going to be taking the rushing volume, but that offensive line is not good. However, if you've got a running back getting 10 targets a game, which obviously that's about as high as it's going to go, but that volume in PPR leagues is invaluable, especially for a player who's on the waivers in most leagues. So I would definitely be trying to target him. I think a lot of games, the Redskins are going to have a negative game script playing from behind. And I think he's going to rack in the receptions like crazy, and he's going to be a great PPR option the rest of the season if he stays healthy. Which, he doesn't have great history with his health, but it's week 2. You don't care about longevity right now. You're just trying to get the next win. All right, so we're going to dive in. Before Devin Singletary, we're going to talk very quickly about Kirk Cousins. Everyone hates Kirk Cousins pretty much in the fantasy world and the NFL world. He's one of the most disliked quarterbacks. He's been pretty mediocre, at least winning record wise. However, for fantasy, he's been pretty decent actually. I think this year is going to be a lot of the same. I think he goes for over 4,000 yards again for the 5th straight year. He's a quarterback that I'll be trying to pick up. Yesterday or Sunday was a very weird game. He threw the ball 10 times, but he's got the receivers. He's got the running back. It's going to be a pretty good year for Kirk Cousins. And if your starting quarterback was someone like Jameis Winston, I think Kirk Cousins is a good pickup. I think he'll be good. It's an unpopular opinion, but I would be trying to target him on the waivers, especially if your starter quarterback isn't looking too hot so far. So now let's get into Devin Singletary. If you've been following the page for a while, you know I'm a huge fan of Devin Singletary. I called for him to be the next Alvin Kamara, the next late round running back who's, wins your league. He didn't get his first touch in the NFL until late in the third quarter, about 7 minutes left. Frank Gore rushed the ball for 1 yard, and then the next play, Singletary popped off a 20-yard rush on his first attempt. Singletary looked great. He had 4 rushes for 70 yards, and he hauled in several receptions too, which the passing ability was kind of the biggest knock to him going into the draft or this season. However, he showed us that he can catch pretty well. He had 6 targets and 5 receptions, which is a big part of running backs, the receptions in PPR league. So Singletary, 5 receptions, that's not something a lot of people expected. Singletary is going to be great down the stretch. He looked so much better than Frank Gore. It wasn't even funny. I couldn't believe how little volume he got on the ground, but I think he's going to quickly earn the bulk of that workload. Frank Gore outtouched him 11-4. However, Singletary had 70 yards, averaged 17.5, and Gore averaged 1.8. So Frank Gore, I think his time is coming down to an end. It may be a frustrating couple weeks where we say, why aren't they giving Singletary the ball? He's so much better. But I think, come week 4, Singletary is going to be the dominant back in Buffalo, and he's going to run away with the role. You saw every time. Here's another. Frank Gore out-touched him. He had 11 carries, and Singletary had 4. However, Singletary was on the field, I believe, 70% of the Buffalo Bills' offensive plays, compared to Frank Gore's 28%. He's already on the field. He just needs to earn some more volume. I think he's going to earn it fast, especially the way he looked. And another thing in favor for Singletary. Every possession, I went back, I downloaded the PDF of the, basically it has every single play of the game. I read through it all. Every possession where Singletary touched the ball on a run or a reception, the Buffalo Bills scored. The Buffalo Bills had a pretty bad game. They had, 3 points through the first 3 quarters. However, every possession that Devin Singletary touched the ball resulted in a Buffalo Bills score. There was a field goal or a touchdown. He had a big run that set up a Josh Allen touchdown run. He had some catches that set up a field goal. He is going to be on the field more because he is valuable for that offense. They can't get away with starting Frank Gore for long because it's hurting the actual offense. A lot of teams, they don't care so much about the stats and the box score as much as the fantasy people do. They care about winning. And that's the pro for Singletary. When he was on the field, the Bills were winning. So I think this is, the last time you're going to be able to grab Singletary. It's not even a buy low at this point. It's just expecting him to explode more than he already has. So I would try to go out there, target those players. If you've got Chris Thompson, if you picked him up before the game, good. You've got a solid PPR monster in there week in, week out, game script proof. If you've got Jameis Winston, try to target Kirk Cousins. He's not a very appealing option. Kirk Cousins is more like I'm trying to think of a pretty bland food. He's a baked potato, all right? No one says, before I die, I just want to eat one more baked potato. But baked potato is always pretty good. It's pretty good. I think that's Kirk Cousins. I think he's going to be pretty good this year. He may not be a tasty steak like Patrick Mahomes, but he's going to be pretty good. He's a nice baked potato. That's what you got in Kirk Cousins. He's out there, especially after this week where he only had 10 pass attempts. I think he gets that up. He's going to have a good season. I think you should target him. Derrick Henry, if you got him, keep him. It's pretty obvious. If he gets the volume, he succeeds. And one other player we talked about. Who was it? Or was that it? Yeah, essentially that. Okay, so thanks for watching. Thanks for listening to this, I guess. We'll be back on either Friday or Saturday for the Fantasy Outlook. That's the hour-long podcast where I lose my voice. So thanks for watching. Make sure you subscribe and follow The Prophet on Instagram and Twitter. Although it doesn't really matter. Just thanks. Bye.